This video is about Arcane Season 2, Episode 7. There will be spoilers, but there will not be any spoilers past Episode 7. Episode 7 talks a lot about Ekko and Jace, but I want to talk a bit more about Ekko because I think there's a lot of really cool details that you guys may not have noticed. So at the beginning of this episode, we have Ekko, and he's kind of freaking out because he's in this new dimension, in this new place. What's going on? Why do I have these earrings on? It's pretty clear to us that he doesn't really know what's going on, and he's disoriented, and then we end up seeing Jinx. And a really cool detail is that before it pans over to where Powder actually is and we just see the mirror, is that it looks exactly like Jinx from our universe. You can see in the mirror that like Jinx has her eyelids down and she's not smiling. And obviously they have a different hairstyle, but we don't get to see that until it pans over. Something that really confused me in this episode was this dance, at least at first, because it's so slow and the FPS is so low. What's going on here? Why does it look like this? And I don't have a perfect idea of what's going on here. I'm just taking a guess, but I think it has something to do with Ekko's very close relation to the present. Something interesting about memories is that when you visualize them, they are not always going to be very smooth. They can often feel like snapshots or like storyboards, which I think this is what this is like. So my best guess is that this is just Ekko kind of reliving the past, but obviously this is the quote-unquote present because this is an alternate universe. In the game lore, Ekko actually has a crush on Jinx. So he's basically just using this present moment to relive his past fantasies. I think the scene after kind of backs this up because Ekko talks a lot about the past.
I used to dream the Undercity could be like this, but somewhere I got consumed by all the ways it wasn't. I gave up on it. Gave up on you.
And while this is obviously like in the present, this is basically everything that Ekko used to want in his world. He wanted to be with Powder. He wanted the Undercity to be a better place. And when he's thinking Powder, he's not just thinking Powder, he's thinking this entire world because now his dream is a reality. One of the main reasons I find this so fascinating is because Ekko has always been about the present. He even chastises Vi for believing that Jinx can change at all. So I kind of feel like maybe the writers are trying to say that, you know, living in the past isn't always bad. Things are always good in moderation. I don't know, something along those lines. Okay, so one last thing, because I want to talk about how Heimerdinger, Jace, and Ekko actually ended up where they did. Because I think it's pretty obvious that Ekko and Heimerdinger got launched into the alternate reality where things are completely different. Jace is kind of in like this post-apocalyptic reality, right? And you can see Heimerdinger briefly mention that where he's like, hey, it looks like he reacted differently to the Wild Rune. But if you actually go back to episode 3 where we can see how the Wild Rune affects all these characters, you can see that while Heimerdinger and Ekko kind of is like, they're kind of splayed out like a flat splash of paint, Jace kind of gets his eyes like distorted and moved across one specific line. So you could argue that while Heimerdinger and Ekko were sent to a different reality entirely, Jace was just sent to a different time. And obviously the timeline is different now because of the Wild Rune. But if you remember, we already saw this mysterious guy in episode 1. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious that he's already been manipulating the timeline a little bit. So yeah, that's basically everything I had to say. There's probably some other stuff I could talk about too. But these are just like the coolest things that I found kind of just like along the way of rewatching this episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah.